Hey everybody, it's Andrew Martin coming to you with a midweek message. I hope that your week has been going well so far. I am thrilled today as I just got home from work and I'm here in my bedroom looking out the window and I see that it's still light outside and I am so happy to see the days getting longer. Spring is right around the corner. We've almost made it through this winter. I know for many of us this winter has been horrendous. We've been lucky here in Seattle that it hasn't been too terribly cold or wet or snowy. But I know many of you in this country have been dealing with horrible, horrible winters, actually across the globe, horrible winters and really, really devastating weather. So my heart goes out to you, and I hope that wherever you are, that you're warm, that you're safe, that you're dry, that you have a roof over your head, that you have blankets to keep you warm, that you have food to keep yourself nourished and healthy. And I wish us all a speedy, a speedy path to spring, to longer days, to warmer temperatures, and to a break from this horrible weather we've been having. As always, I'm bringing a message in midweek to give us, something to think on, something to meditate on, and hopefully something that can help us begin to make the connection to our inner spark, to our divine source, that will help us begin to create the life for ourselves that we really dream about. When I create these messages, it is always my intention for these to be a place for us to start thinking about our lives in new ways and looking at our lives with new eyes. But I by no means ever want to position myself as any kind of expert, as any sort of guru, as any person that is somehow more special or different than anybody else. I just really have committed myself over the past several years to creating a life for myself that I really desire and the life for myself that I really want. There have been many people on my path that have helped me, many teachers, many guides, many loving souls, many helpful peoples, many physical and non-physical, that have helped me along my path. But ultimately the work that I have done has been the work that I have done, and I take full responsibility for the life that I've created, and I take the credit for the work that I have done on myself and the commitment that I have made and the decisions that I have made to just continue to align myself with whatever my heart is resonating with. So I really want for everyone to find their own way to find self-empowerment through spirit. The messages that I put out there, I think if you've been watching them for a while, you will see that, a lot of it really just kind of circulates around the same topic and the same ideas, but it's always trying to give us a new way to look at possibly the same subject, another tool in our toolbox, so to speak. If these messages just help one person find a way to begin to create the life that they dream of for themselves and find a way for them to strike out on their own spiritual path and their own journey and create their own ways of viewing their life and becoming their own master and divine creator, then that is really all that I want, because we can do it for ourselves. We are the ones that really have the power and the ability to create what we want for ourselves. And the truth is that there is no magic cure. There is no quick fix. There is no pill to pop that is going to, suddenly make it all better. Trust me, if there were, I would have found it by now. I have looked high and low in my years on this planet, and nothing has ever done for me what making the commitment to myself, to live a life that is aligned with my higher purpose and with my heart, and that feels good to me, and that feels right to me, and that feels joyful, and feels happy, and feels fulfilling, and nothing can ever replace that work. So here I am again with another message, and what I want to talk about today is the power of our words, and the power that our words have to create the reality that we see before us and that we see in our physical now. Our words are very, very powerful, and I think, not only the words that we speak to others, that we speak about others, but more importantly, and I think most importantly, the best place that I have found for us to start is to pay attention to the words that we say about ourselves, both out loud and also in our head. It's a lot like, imagine that you have a radio that's been playing in the back room of your house at a really low volume for your whole life, or for 5 years, or for 10 years, or for 2 weeks. And it's a sound that we begin to become almost immune to. We don't even hear it, but it's there, and our subconscious is picking up on it. And imagine that the words that this radio channel is broadcasting are very negative, or very defeating, or very hurtful, or insulting to who we are. And imagine the things that we say to ourselves that we're not even aware of. The track that goes through our minds all the time of I can't have this, and I won't have this, and I never get this, and I always do that. Those words become a pattern that is a constant vibration that we may not even be aware of. And it's very interesting to me when people come to me and they say, Andrew, I've done all this work and I've done all of the exercises and the meditation and the journals and, talking to my angels and praying and, crystals and yoga and, whatever, you name it. And there's still, this certain area or this certain topic that I just can't seem to get my head around. And I always do this and I never do that. And the minute that I hear the words always and never, it's very telling to me. Because what are we saying? If we're walking around saying, I always fuck up, or I never get it right, or I always attract a bad partner, or I never find the right job, or I always lose money, or I never know how to manage my money, or I always, it could be something even just, very, very simple. I always forget my keys. I never can remember where I put my wallet. I always lose things. I'm such a klutz. I'm always hurting myself. I always fall down. Those things really become so insidious in our lives in a lot of ways, and they're like these little earworms, so to speak, that just kind of work their way into our brain, and we begin to believe these things. If you hear something enough and you say something enough, you're going to begin to believe it, and the more you say it and the more you repeat it, the less you're going to consciously pay attention to it, and the more power it's going to have, because the things that we're not paying attention to and the monologues that we're constantly telling ourselves about ourselves and our place in the world that we're not even aware of, those are the things to me that are the root of so many of the things that we're dissatisfied with in our life. So what I want you to do, what I'm inviting you to do this week, is to begin to pay attention to any time that you are using the word always and never. And you can state it just as a simple intention every morning before you start your day. Just say, it is my intention today that I am going to be very conscious of the words that I am speaking, not only about others, but most importantly about myself, so that I can begin to notice when I use the words always and never. And I think that you'll be very surprised to find the ways that you're using those words. And those are very definitive statements. To say that I always do something or I never do something, there's really no room for interpretation. And the law of the universe, the law of attraction, is one that is equal opportunity. And whatever it is that we are putting out there as a vibration is what's going to come back to us. So, carry around a journal, carry around a little notebook, even just open up a little note on your phone or a document on your computer, and pay attention to when you're saying the words always and never, and begin to be aware of that. And really, 9 times out of 10, all it takes is the awareness. And when I'm working with my clients and I give them this exercise and this tool, it is amazing to me how quickly the results begin to shift for them and their lives begin to change in these certain areas, because you'll find that you probably are saying always and never about something that is seemingly unrelated, but when you become aware of the times and the ways that you're using those words and making those absolute definitive statements, you're going to begin all of a sudden to connect these dots and say, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I was still saying that. I've been carrying around this belief about myself that is from 5-10 years ago, or maybe you had a relationship or a person in your life, and a friend or a boss or a boyfriend or a girlfriend that you're not with anymore, that is not in your life anymore, and maybe you began to believe something about yourself because of the influence that they had on you, and you for whatever reason have yet to discard this outdated and outmoded belief about yourself, and you're still carrying it around, and you're still creating this reality of I always do this or I never do that. So start to pay attention this week. I'm going to invite you to just write down always and never on a little piece of paper, or like I said, on a document in your computer or a note on your phone, and just start to pay attention and write those phrases down. And I think that if we can do this for, give it a week. Start today. It'll be Thursday when I publish this message. So start today. On Thursday, it'll be Thursday, February 13th, and a week from now, take a look at that list of the things that you've said and write them down. If you always are saying, I always I'm always late to work. If you're find how many times you're saying that throughout the day, and so write down the phrase the first time that you're aware of it, and then every time that you say it for the rest of the week, just put a little hash mark next to it, and start to keep track of how many times in a day you're saying these phrases or that you're saying these words. And I think you'll begin to realize some very, very telling things about yourself and the beliefs. And the minute that we can begin to acknowledge these patterns, especially the unconscious patterns, the minute that we can begin to tune into that radio that's playing at a really low volume, which is just that subconscious loop that's in the back of our mind, that's when we can begin to make the changes, and we can change the channel, or we can just switch that radio off altogether. Do it from a loving place. Don't do it from a place of judging yourself or being hard on yourself or trying to catch yourself doing something wrong. This is not about right or wrong. This is about us just beginning to really cue in and to pay attention to the words that we're using and the phrases that we're saying about ourselves, and in turn the reality that we're creating. So that's my midweek message. That's my homework for today, is for us to begin to really start to pay attention to those subconscious, unconscious, loop repeating phrases that we're saying about ourselves or our loved ones, or anything in our lives. And I think that if we can begin to pay attention to it, that's when the light comes on. That's when we can begin to become aware of it. And then it just becomes a matter of realizing when we're about to say it and just stopping mid-phrase and finding a way to change the phrase that we're saying, or stop saying it altogether. So I hope you find that this is useful for you. As always, I invite you to go to my website, go to my Facebook page, send me your feedback, let me know how this works. Send me an email and let me know if you have any questions. I'm always open to discussing it. Thank you as always for watching. I hope the rest of your week goes really, really well, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.